Hi there, I'm Eitan, and welcome back to Wix Wiz. Today we're continuing with our custom product page, and we're going to be talking about options again, but we're going to be talking about slightly more advanced configurations for options. So, for example, what we set up last time was that each of our options was just a drop-down within a repeater, but in some cases, you might want to display your options in a different way. For example, if you have colors, you might want to display them as kind of little color circles instead of in a drop-down. Or you might want to use radio boxes, or you might want to use some other kind of display to display your options. So I'm going to give some examples of how you can do that and how you can set it so that only that specific option displays in its unique way. So let's get started. So the first example I want to start with is the colors, because I think that is probably one of the most common examples. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to be using a repeater. So I'm going to be adding that repeater right over here above my general options repeater. So I'm just going to go over here to add elements and go to list. And I'm going to add in a generic repeater. And of course, these are way too big for what we need. So I'm going to go ahead and make these much smaller. Let's say, about 26 by 26. That's fine. And in the repeater settings, I am going to change the layout so that they're aligned to the left. And I'm going to make this repeater a lot smaller. And I'm going to drag it right over here to above where the rest of my options are. Okay, and this is going to be basically choose a color. And I'm going to put that right over there. And then I'm going to add a text text box that will just say color. Okay, because we need a title for this, because inside of our repeater we don't have a title. And I'm going to drag that and put that right over here. And under that, I'm going to add another text box, which I'm going to make slightly smaller. So let's go into here and edit the text, and I'll make this, let's say, 14 pixels. And this will be the selected color. And all these obviously will change dynamically. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the background of the container in the repeater transparent. So I'm going to go ahead and make that transparency 0. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to add a box element. So let's go over here and I'm going to add a box. And let's just add a container box. Yeah, I think I can edit this container box. So let's go over here. And we're going to make this a lot smaller. Let's use the toolbar here because that's just going to make it a lot easier. So I'm going to make this 24 by 24 just to make sure that it fits inside of our repeater here. And I'm going to put that circle attached to item. Okay, so now we have 3 circles. Then these are going to be populated with our colors. Obviously, you could make it another shape. You can make it squares. You can make it anything, but it pretty much needs to be a box just like this. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to name all of these. So this is going to be my color title, let's call it. And that's not really going to change. This is going to be our colors repeater. This is going to be our selected color. And each one of these boxes is going to be our color option. And then I'm going to actually group these 3 together. and whoops, I didn't group them yet. Group elements, and I'm going to call this color group, because it's quite likely that we are going to need to collapse or expand this based on if our product actually has a color option or not. Okay, so that's pretty much our setup in terms of layout. Now let's start talking about the code. So basically what we want to do in our code, I'm going to make this bigger now just so you can see the code a little better. We are going to need to populate that repeater with our color options. So let's go down in the code to where we were, to our options setup, okay? And what we're going to do here is, so here for each of our option keys, we created our option data, our option item. And if we go ahead and take a look at our data again, in terms of options, so we see that we have a key here called color. Okay, so basically we're going to need to check and see if this product has this key or not. And if it does, we're going to single out this specific product option and treat it differently. So let's head over here. And okay, so option keys equals object.keys. Okay, so this is basically an array with all the keys, and one of them will be color if it has a color. So let's say if option keys dot includes color, then here we're going to handle that specific case. Okay, so I'm just going to write a comment here. Special color display. Just so that we know that, if we don't want our special color display, this is a line of code. These lines of code are not going to be relevant. Like if we want to keep our colors in a drop down or something like that. So if option keys dot includes color, we are going to want to slice out this specific option, and I think the easiest way to do that would just be const colors data equals to, and I think this is going to come out to be an object for us. So let's say this product dot product options dot color. And let's just take another look at the data and make sure that that makes sense. And we could also console and just make sure that we're on the right track. Okay, yeah, and it's going to come back. So we're basically going to get this object. And what I want to do is I want to put that into an array. Yeah, I'm going to put that into an array, and then we're going to be using these values in order to populate our repeater. So let's put that into an array. Whoops. Okay, so this is actually going to be an array with an object. And then, No, so in this case, we're going to be doing it a little differently, because actually we want this specific array with all the choices. So let's go over here. Yeah, we only want this choices array. Because we know that our option type and everything is color, so it's not like our other options where we were setting up drop downs. So actually, we're just going to want to have that choices array. So I'm going to go over here, and instead of putting this object into an array, I'm actually just going to say that choices. And then we're going to need to map that out so that it includes an ID, right? Because each choice here, does each choice include an ID? No, it doesn't. Okay, so we're going to need an ID for those. And so let's say, dun, 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 dun. Okay, so this will be color choices. And then I'm going to say that color data, color data is equal to color choices dot map. We're going to map this with each choice and index. And in here, we're going to spread in the choice. And I saw someone ask in one of the comments in a previous video what the significance of this spread operation is. And basically, you have to remember that this choice here inside of our map is actually an object. So when we spread it over here, it basically says, okay, take all of the properties in this object and create a new object that includes all of those properties and whatever we add here after the comma. So it's kind of like create a new object with the same properties as this object, spread it into a new object. So that's what these three dots are, if that wasn't clear. And I'm just going to say that ID should be equal to index dot toString. And that way we have an index and we can populate our repeater, because as you remember or don't remember, in Wix, we need to have an ID for each of our items that we're using to populate a repeater. Okay, so that's enough for selecting our data. Whoops, I just lost myself. And now we're going to need to set up the repeater. Okay, so I'm going to do that right over here. So we have here our regular repeater. And now here I'm just going to set up our colors repeater. So colors repeater. I'm going to make another comment over here. If special color display. Okay. And here we're going to set up our regular on items. On item ready, sorry. And with our callback function. And for each item and item data. And all we need to do is we need to say that our color option dot style dot background color should be equal to our item data dot value. And this, make sure just to change into item. Yeah, and dun, 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 dun. So here what I'm also going to do is I'm going to collapse this group, and I'm going to expand it here if we have color. So here we're just going to do color group, color group dot expand. Okay, and this is something that I mentioned that I was going to do before. And last but not least, we have to populate the repeater. So we'll say here colors repeater dot data should be equal to color data. Okay, looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and I'm going to zoom out a bit, and let's go into preview mode and see if that worked at all. And I'm going to be very happy if it did, and it did. Okay, so here you can see that we have our two colors. Okay, brown, black and brown, which if you see here in the product, these are the two colors that were added. And if I add another color in here, let's say gray and white, and I click apply, and then I go back here, back to editor, and then head back into preview mode, then we should see I didn't save the product. I always do that. I forget to save the product after I make changes. So let's go back to editor and head back into preview mode. And there we go. Okay, the white is a little hard to see because it's white. So that's a good point. Like maybe we should add kind of like we should change the design here, and let's add like a very thin border. Okay, so I'm going to add like a 1 pixel like grayish border, just very lightly, something that will make us be able to see the white. Okay, and now of course we need to actually make this functional. Okay, we have to make it so that when you click on one of these colors, something happens. So what I'm going to do here is first I'm going to select this selected color, and I'm going to collapse it. And then what we're going to do here is we are going to add an event listener. Let me zoom in a little bit for our color option. So color option dot on click. And we're going to do several things here. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is let's set the selected color dot text. This should be equal to the, not the value, but I think it's description. Let me take a look here. Description, let's see, choices, description, yeah, description black. Okay, so it's going to be just, always do that. Okay, it's going to be description equals item data dot description. And then we're also going to show that, sorry, expand that. Maybe I should have made it hidden. Yeah, let's make it hidden, not collapsed. And I'm going to do selected color dot show. Okay, so that's basic. And another thing that I want to do is I want to make the background color black and thicker. So I'm going to say color option. And this, we have to remember to say here item, because this is specifically for the one that we selected. Dot background color dot style, dot border color equals black. Before we do that, let's make all the other ones gray. So let's say color option dot style dot border color equals, and I need to make it equal to that gray that we set here to begin with. So let's see, design, custom design, border. What color is this? I can't see because I'm zoomed in too much. Zoom out. And I'm going to copy this color and close all this. And I'm going to zoom in. And I'm just going to make that this color. Okay, so I'm going to change them all to this color and then change the one that we selected to black. And that way, it'll kind of highlight which one is selected, and it'll make sure that if we selected another one previously, that it's deselected. Okay, so this is all like just styling. This is an actual functionality. And now we actually need to pass on that color value when we want to check out, right? So let's see how we checked out our item. So here we have add to cart. And here inside of options, we have choices. Okay, and let's see how we were populating that choices. So this is a variable that we call choices. So I'm going to go ahead and look for where we have choices. And I just want whenever choices is alone. So, okay. So basically we set it so that when we change any item in the any option in the options repeater, then we set the that choice to the value of that selected option. Yeah. Okay, so let's do the same thing for our colors option. So I'm going to go ahead and go to our colors. Okay, so then I'm going to say here that choices. Whoops. I'm not in the repeater. Okay. Item data dot name equals item data. So here this should be item option color option dot value color option. No, this should be item data dot description. Okay, because the descriptions is what we originally attributed. Let's go back to our original options here. So when we set them up, okay, so in our dropdowns, we said that the label should be choice.description and the value should be choice.description. Okay, so that's the same thing here. I'm just telling it that the value that we attribute to this choice should also be the description. Okay, if you remember, we had a little error with that back in the options video. If you didn't watch it, go ahead and do that. Yeah, so, okay, this should set that up. And let me try and think if there's anything else that we might want to do. Let me just check our validation again. So let's check out how our validation worked. Okay, so our validity was based on the fact that we were going through the options repeater and checking if the option was valid. Okay, so what I'm going to say here is that for a special color display, that if let's see, what is color name is capital. Okay, okay, this would have thrown an error. Okay, so this is actually good that I'm looking at this because this would have thrown an error inside of our over here because item data.name wouldn't have existed because we're inside the choices. We're not inside the option. So this would actually just have to be choices.color. Okay, and here within our validity, what we would do is we would say if choices dot color dot color, and I'm going to say if it's false, then if choices dot color null or undefined or false, then it should be valid equals false. And we'll check this all out momentarily. And last but not least, what we have to do is we have to make sure that we don't also display a repeater. Sorry, an option in the repeater. Because if we go, let's test out so far what we've done. And I'll show you what I mean here. So you can see here now we have color here, but we also have color repeater. Okay, and let's just check to see that our selection works. Okay, great. So gray, and then I switch to white, and then I switch to black. Okay, so this is working perfectly. Again, I don't know if this value is being passed on to our product yet in terms of checkout, but first thing I want to deal with is this, okay? Because now we have color twice essentially. So we have to say that if we're using a special color option, then this shouldn't exist. Okay, so in order to really streamline this, because I will be offering this as a template, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say let what should I call this? Color picker, and I'm going to say this equals true. Okay, and now all of the changes that I made, I'm going to condition them on if this color picker is equal to true. So this is something that if you're using this code later on, if you just change this to false, it'll switch back to the drop-down option, and I'll show you how that works in a second. So let's go ahead and enter those conditions everywhere. So I'm going to say what did I do here? Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so first of all, I changed this by accident, which shouldn't have been changed. So this is supposed to go here, and this is supposed to go here. Okay, crisis avoided. And now I'm going to go ahead and do what I was going to do before, which is to put this wherever it needs to go. So I'm going to say, okay, if special color display. So I'm going to say here, if, and then I'm going to put this inside of this if statement. Okay, so this bit of code is only going to run if color picker is active. Okay, and then same thing will go for over here. Okay, so if, whoa, okay, color picker, then this here, because it's not enough that our option keys includes color, we also have to tell it if we even want it to display the color specially or not. Okay, that's why I'm putting all this in. And then for over here down in the validity, we're going to have the same thing. So if, again, I did the wrong thing. Okay, color picker, then if there's no choices.color, then valid should be equal to false. And what I'll also do is I'll tell it to make our color option dot style dot border color equal to red. Okay, just so that it like kind of highlights to the person where the error is, and that's that they need to select a color. Okay, I think this looks decent. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go ahead and publish this. And then I'm going to go to view site. And let's go to products. I am a product where this, oh no, oh, sorry. I always do that. Wrong URL. Okay, so here we have our updated product page. And okay, so this is still showing because I didn't actually add the code that I wanted to make this not show. I talked about it a lot, but I didn't actually do it. So let's go ahead and do that. And that is going to need to be done inside of our options setup function. So let's find where that is. No, this is our validity. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So here, what we need to do here is in addition to handling our color option, especially, we need to get rid of the color from our option keys. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to say, I'm going to add a little comment here. First, let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to kind of remove color option from repeater. Essentially, that's what we're doing here. And the way we're doing it is by saying that, let's say, dun, dun, dun. So these option keys, this is an array, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter this array. So option keys equals, and that means this needs to be a let here, equals option keys dot filter, and then I'm going to say option option dot option is not equal to color. Okay, so this should get rid of the color before we even go ahead and populate our repeater. So essentially, this should not be in the repeater. if my logic is correct. So let's take a look at that and let's see what comes out here on the other end. Yep. Okay. So you see here that our color disappeared, but our size is still, took a second to load, but it's still working normally. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say add to cart. Okay. Please select all the options. And you can see here that our colors turned red, which is what we expected. And now let's select, let's say, gray. And I'm going to select a size medium. And I'm going to say add to cart again. And let's see if our product adds to cart. It did. Okay. So everything looks in order. I'm going to remove both of these products. And I'm going to run through it one more time. So let's change, let's say, to brown. And I'm going to change this to large. And I'm going to add to cart. Okay, so we have a product here. Now I'm going to go to view cart because I just want to make sure that it actually selected the right color. And we see here color brown. Okay, so that is how you would add a unique option selector to your code. And in principle, any other unique option selector would be the same thing. So for example, I could have, instead of in this repeater, I could have added, for example, a text box. And I could have said that that text box should be equal to, one of the size values. And then you would pick the size value using the same method which we chose color in. Just instead of colors, it would be sizes. But this is really a more unique approach, and it's, if you really understand your product and that it needs a unique way of being selected, then you can do it that way. You could also, change out your drop-down repeater for a different method. For example, instead of using a drop-down, you can use, radio boxes or something else in order to decide, what the options are. And I'm not going to explain that in this video, but if that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments. And if enough people comment about it, then I will make a video. So to sum it up, that is how you would create a unique color selecting repeater option in your custom product page. And that's also how you would toggle it. So for example, if I change this now to false, then what should happen is that we should revert back to our previous version. Okay, so if I go here and I go back to our product page and I refresh, then we should be back to our regular version, okay, where color is selected from a dropdown. Okay, so we really made this very versatile, so you can kind of decide what you want on your product page. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Subscriptions, it's a little button for you, but it makes a big difference for me. So please go ahead and do that. And I will see you next time.